The news reported a man colluding with his mistress to kill his two biological children. My husband, Ethan, saw it and casually remarked, "Raising two kids alone. How could he live?" He said it so naturally, but a chill ran down my spine. My husband actually sympathized with that kind of person. The most terrifying thing was, our daughter, Lily, had been missing for 4 years. I kept replaying the 5 minutes that ruined my life. That summer, Ethan went to his rural hometown to care for his sick mother, staying for half a month. Lily kept whining, wanting to see her daddy, so I had to drive her to the countryside. On the way, she suddenly cried out, needing to use the restroom. I quickly pulled over to the side of the road. The moment I opened the door, she jumped out and ran off. The cornfield was as tall as an adult. In a flash, she disappeared into it. "Lily, wait for mommy, don't run off." I grabbed some tissues and chased after her, but in the vast cornfield, I could no longer see my daughter. Then came the crying and scolding from my in-laws, Ethan's roars, and endless police questioning. Villagers crowded around, their noise tearing me apart. For years, Lily had been missing for 4 years. She'd be 12 now. On her 12th birthday, I bought her a pair of pretty little patent leather shoes, socks with bows, and a blue pleated skirt. Girls these days love to dress like that. Lily would surely love it too. For the cake, I chose her favorite pink. I decorated the house beautifully. Balloons floated on the ceiling, and I even bought a fairy wand. Ethan came home, glanced around, his expression calm. "Honey, where's Lily's birthday present? It's your turn to get it this year." I looked at him, empty-handed, and couldn't help but feel annoyed. Lily will be so sad if she doesn't get a present. As I spoke, I pushed him towards the door, urging him to go buy one. His face changed instantly, like an animal stabbed in the heart. "Are you done being crazy?" He shoved me hard, and I fell to the ground. He spat out each word. "For years. Catherine Vu, haven't you been crazy long enough?" I hit the floor hard, the pain in my abdomen so intense I nearly blacked out. He threw a lab report at my face, his features contorted with rage. "Damn it. How dare you hide this from me and abort the baby?" I lost a lot of blood that day. Ethan, whose name back then was still Hal Lamb in my mind, but who I now see as Ethan, held me, sobbing. "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. Honey, I just thought, if we had another child, you'd get better, we'd go back to how we were." No, we could never go back. No one could replace Lily. She once held my phone and said sweetly, "Mommy, you look so pretty today, let me take your picture." She once carried a cake to me. "This is the strawberry cake you love most, Mommy." I asked Daddy to buy it. She once wrote seriously in her diary, "Mommy wore new lipstick today. She looks so beautiful." That was my daughter, the treasure I carried for 9 months and painfully birthed. She had given me all her love and trust, yet I had lost her. There would never be another child in this world like Lily, who would say she loved Mommy the most. I lost my mother at 6, my father at 20. Even my dearest daughter, I had lost. But thankfully, there was still Ethan. Ethan said, "Honey, you still have me. I'll always be by your side." The first year Lily went missing, I withdrew from the company's management. Business hadn't been good these past few years, and Ethan struggled to manage it alone. Coupled with constantly searching for news about Lily, he was exhausted. I didn't want to burden him further with my own issues. My spirit was broken, but I never showed it in front of Ethan. I suffered from insomnia, my hair fell out in clumps, and I dreamed of Lily screaming for her mother in terror. During the day, I wandered around like a lost soul, nearly getting hit by cars multiple times. After a hospital checkup, the doctor prescribed me antidepressants. Ethan hid it from me, deliberately tampering with condoms, hoping for another child. But he didn't know that baby couldn't possibly be kept, because in his eyes, I was still the same, just overly fixated on Lily's matter. I tried to remain as gentle and strong as before, not wanting my daughter to see a mother driven mad when she returned. But, "I'm sorry, my child. Mommy really can't hold on any longer." Ethan, without discussing it with me, had his mother and his sister, Sarah Hill, move in. They stood in the middle of the living room, bags phenomenon. Sarah looked at me timidly, as if afraid I'd kick her out. Beside her, she held a little boy's hand. I sat on the sofa, looking at them coldly. I disliked my mother-in-law. The day Lily was born, she just pursed her lips, muttered, "Another girl, huh?" and turned away. But Sarah was truly pitiful, wearing clothes I had sent them previously. I heard that 4 years ago, she met a man, got pregnant, and was then abandoned. Sarah was only 23 this year, a very pretty girl. Unfortunately, she met the wrong person. "Leo, say hello." My mother-in-law pushed the boy towards me, urging, "What did I teach you at home? Keck out your tongue." The boy immediately performed a low, subservient bow before me, then, in a thick local accent, called out, "Mother." When I was pregnant with Lily, Ethan had said, "If it's a boy, let's name him Leo, like a bright star in Mommy's sky. If it's a girl, let's call her Stella, Mommy's warm little star. His gentle eyes, his smile as he whispered to my belly that year, I still remembered clearly. Yet now, with Lily missing, he brought home another Leo. I won't accept him. I only have one daughter. I looked calmly at my mother-in-law, my voice firm. Won't accept? Then try giving the Hall family a son. She turned purple with rage, spit flying. The Hall family has had only sons for 3 generations. We absolutely cannot let the line end with you. Son, this time, don't let that woman get her way. Ethan's hometown was extremely patriarchal. No matter how wealthy you were, if you didn't have a son, people would still badmouth you behind your back. Previously, when I took Lily to his hometown, the Hall relatives all looked down on us, thinking raising a daughter so carefully was a waste of resources. Ethan coaxed me, saying his mother would only stay for a while and then leave. This time, seeing Ethan's troubled expression, I relented. I knew his mother was a widow who had raised him alone and sent him to college, which wasn't easy. During the days we lived together, Sarah woke up early, did housework, cooked very diligent. I told her many times we had a part-time housekeeper, but she remained anxious. Our housekeeper of 20 years had to go back to her hometown to deal with family matters, so I was using temporary help. This morning, I left the house on time for my therapy session. I only realized I'd forgotten my headphones when I reached the elevator. When I returned, I saw Sarah standing in my walk-in closet. She was wearing my long dress, my high heels, and had applied makeup meticulously. In front of the mirror, Sarah struck a pose, a deliberately seductive move. Gone was her usual timid and plain demeanor. Instead, she exuded a calculated worldliness. Mommy, Leo, holding a sparkling hair clip, ran up to her, calling out, "Where did you dig that up?" Sarah's expression changed instantly. She snatched the hair clip and slapped the boy several times. "Don't touch my things. Understand? I told you to win over that woman, and you still haven't managed it. If we don't make it in this city, you'll just end up back in the countryside, slaving away in the fields." I held my breath and quietly retreated. I hid in the emergency stairwell, only then daring to gasp for air. Tears streamed down my face. My whole body felt like it had been shattered by a blow. I slumped to the floor, leaning against the wall, forcing myself to calm down. That hair clip was what Lily was wearing before she disappeared. It was an 8th birthday gift I had custom ordered from Tiffany & Company, a special edition. There wasn't another one like it. Yet, it appeared in Sarah's hands. Sarah must have met Lily. That realization made my whole body tremble. I had to call the police, I definitely had to. But as soon as I took out my phone, I hesitated. What could a single hair clip prove? If Sarah denied it, wouldn't it just tip her off? No, I couldn't gamble with Lily's safety. I had to find Ethan, to tell him everything. When he was in his hometown caring for his mother, what was Sarah doing? Had she been to that cornfield, picked up Lily's hair clip? Or was Lily's disappearance related to her? I immediately drove to the company. "Mrs. Hall, you're here." "Mr. Hall is in a meeting," the receptionist said, surprised. Since I started recuperating at home, I hadn't been to the company for a long time. On the way, many employees greeted me. I hurried to Ethan's office to wait for him. Even after sitting down, my heart was restless. I took out my phone and scrolled through some videos to distract myself. A moment later, Ethan walked in. "Honey, what's wrong?" Seeing me, Ethan immediately approached, asking worriedly, "Not feeling well? Why do you look so pale?" Noticing his secretary was present, I forced a smile. "Just watched a sad video. A man who wanted a divorce to be with his mistress pushed both his kids out a window." Ethan handed me a cup of hot water, glanced at my phone, and said casually, "This guy's ruthless, but on the other hand, if he didn't do it, he'd have to raise 2 kids, pay child support, and be tied to his wife. If he couldn't get rid of the kids, how could he start a new life?" I held the cup, slowly looking up at him, suddenly feeling a chill run through me. "Ethan, how could you say such things? How could you sympathize with the kind of person in that news report?" Ethan looked at me. I quickly lowered my head and drank some water, hiding my emotions. "Honey, about accepting Leo, I think you should reconsider." Ethan sat down, put his arm around my shoulder, and said gently, "I just thought, having a child around would make you happier. You see, Leo is very well-behaved and understanding. He'll surely love you very much. If you're afraid he'll get too close to my sister, I'll tell Sarah to go back to the countryside." I turned to look at Ethan, asking mockingly, "Are you and your mother planning to adopt Leo? Your hometown values sons so much, but they also value blood ties, right? I remember you once said your neighbor couldn't have children, adopted a boy, and the whole village ridiculed them. You yourself said then that raising someone else's child is like a risky investment. Why aren't you afraid now that Leo's biological father will come back for him?" Ethan's expression faltered for a moment. I quickly realized he had never considered such a simple possibility. Or, Ethan was very sure that Leo's father would never return. My parents were gone, Lily was missing. I thought Ethan was the only person I could trust, rely on. But now, could I still trust him? Looking at his gentle eyes, suspicion towards Sarah rose in my heart, but I didn't dare say a word. I met Ethan when I was 20. Back then, he had nothing but proud defiance. After graduation, I took over the fashion company my father left me. With the boom of social media, the company grew steadily. Ethan went into IT. His income wasn't bad, but it was very demanding. Later, I became too busy and made him vice president of my company. Since Lily disappeared, I stepped down from the board, giving Ethan full control. If I couldn't even trust the man I shared my bed with, who could I trust? Stepping out of the company, I looked up at the skyscraper before me, the blood in my veins turning to ice. Lily, my beloved daughter, where are you? Mommy misses you so much. I drove home in a daze. As I walked in, I heard my mother-in-law's shrill voice. She's just a housekeeper. How dare she point fingers at the owners? What's this about not cutting vegetables on the meat cutting board? And which towel is for what? Are you trying to teach me how to live? My mother-in-law shrieked, loud enough to blow the roof off. I wasn't pointing fingers, Mrs. Davis said calmly. The bathroom cleaning cloth shouldn't be used in the kitchen. Sarah stood by, looking troubled. I deliberately slammed the door to make a noise, and only then did the three of them realize I was back. Mrs. Davis, didn't I tell you to take a few more days off? I walked over smiling. What? Did you miss me? The moment Mrs. Davis saw me, her eyes reddened. You called yesterday saying you had a cough. I thought I'd come back and make you some chamomile tea. Mrs. Davis had worked for my family for over 20 years. I considered her family. Heavy chores were always outsourced. Yet my mother-in-law addressed her as housekeeper, like a subordinate. Mom, the part-time cleaner works a full 8 hours a day. Is there something you're not satisfied with that you have to do it yourself? I looked at her calmly. If you find living here too strenuous, perhaps it's better to return to the countryside where you can be more comfortable. My mother-in-law's face changed instantly, and she even raised her hand as if to hit me. Sarah, terrified, quickly pulled her mother out, coaxing and pleading. I sank onto the sofa, exhausted, not wanting to get involved in this mess anymore. Mrs. Davis poured me a glass of honey lemon tea, trying to ease the tension with some small talk. This time when I went home to my daughters, I heard a very interesting story. My daughter's mother-in-law couldn't stop talking about it. She said in their village, there's a very capable man who went to the city for college, married a rich wife, and became very successful. But his little wife back in the village is pitiful, pregnant, and giving birth at home. They still have little wives like that these days. I asked, surprised, taking a sip of tea. Mrs. Davis smiled. Yes, they do. I heard his mother took the girl in as a child, telling everyone she was her biological daughter. After so many years, everyone thought she really was. She also said she suspected the baby in the little wife's belly belonged to that man. The more I listened, the more something felt wrong. Went to the city for college, married a rich wife, had an adopted sister from childhood. Mrs. Davis, do you know where that woman is from? I frowned, asking. Mrs. Davis thought for a moment and replied, I didn't ask in detail. She's been living in the city with her daughter for a long time, just casually mentioning stories from her hometown. But her accent, it sounds exactly like your mother-in-law's. I clutched the glass, silent for a long time. Leo's face, in fact, bore some resemblance to Ethan. I had always thought it was just a nephew resembling his uncle, never suspecting. But now, I couldn't help but consider the possibility. Mrs. Davis, help me with something. I leaned close to her ear and whispered a few sentences. Mrs. Davis looked astonished, then nodded seriously. Kate, dear, don't worry. I'll take care of this for you. I asked Mrs. Davis to get toothbrushes from 3 people, Ethan, Sarah, and Leo, for DNA testing. When I saw the results, I was silent for a very long time. There was no blood relationship between Ethan and Sarah. They weren't biological siblings. But Leo, who was indeed Sarah's son, had no blood ties to Ethan whatsoever. Mrs. Davis whispered, Kate, dear, could it be that we've wrongly suspected Ethan? He's always been so good to you. How could he betray you? I remembered the words my father told me before he passed away. He said, Kate, I've transferred ownership of the other 3 companies, hired professional managers, sold 6 houses in my name, and also left you a separate trust fund. Don't touch this money, and don't tell anyone about it. If anything happens, this is your safety net. Ethan seems good now, but who can say what the future holds? We shouldn't harm anyone, but we must also be prepared. Kate, you must remember, never put all your hopes in one man. Men understand men best, so I know, men are unreliable. On his hospital bed, however weak he was, my father held my hand, talking for a long, long time. Ethan always thought I only had this fashion company and was named on 2 properties. But in reality, my assets were far more extensive. Every word my father said, every letter, I remembered, never daring to forget. Whether Ethan had betrayed me or not, A simple test would reveal it. I told him I wanted to rest for a while longer, then I would return to manage the company. His expression was very strained, but he didn't object. To make someone reveal their true nature, just stimulate their desires, take away what they cherish most. That night, Ethan tossed and turned all night, even going downstairs to smoke. Ethan, oh Ethan, once you've tasted power, you don't want to let go, do you? When he first joined the company, he didn't understand many things, had no vision. I taught him everything, bit by bit. Countless days and nights, I took him to networking events, introduced him to every contact. I even hired a professional director to assist with operations. Yet, in just 4 years, he had forgotten everything. I gave him this position. I could also take it back. The next day, I invited Sarah shopping. She seemed surprised, unable to believe it. You've been here for so long, and I haven't taken you out anywhere. I linked her arm, smiling. You're so beautiful. You should pamper yourself a bit. We went to the most luxurious mall in the city. As soon as we entered, sales associates swarmed around us enthusiastically. A host of the latest designs were displayed before me. I tried on a few outfits haphazardly and bought them all. I chose a black dress and told Sarah to try it on. She shyly entered the fitting room. When she came out, standing before the mirror, she stared at her reflection. Long hair flowing, slender figure, fair skin, clearly a radiant young woman. Absolutely beautiful. Let's get it. I clapped, smiling. Even I'm moved, let alone men. Sarah, you need to take better care of yourself. She smiled shyly. Thank you, sister-in-law. I went to the counter to pay. Sarah was aghast. This dress, it's $2,600. The sales associate glanced at Sarah, a clear look of disdain in her eyes. Ms. Vu is a regular customer. We'll include a complimentary silk scarf. It will look beautiful with the dress. That look stung Sarah. She fell silent. I then dragged her to a jewelry store, casually buying an $8,000 piece. The smile on Sarah's face grew increasingly forced, and she spoke less and less. I raised my wrist, showing off the bracelet, and sighed. A woman's hands are made for jewelry. You need money to live comfortably. Don't you agree, Sarah? Sarah seemed a bit distracted. She was staring at a diamond hair clip in the display case. That clip looked very similar to the one Lily was wearing before she disappeared. Would you like to try it on? It's a special edition. There are only 3 in the country. We're only showing it to you because Ms. Vu is a VIP customer. The salesperson chirped. No, I won't try it. Sarah quickly shook her head, even taking a step back. A hair clip costing $1,800 was indeed beyond her imagination. Put it on, I said flatly. When we left the mall, all the shopping bags had been loaded into the car. I leaned back tiredly in my seat and said softly, Sarah, to be honest with you, since Lily disappeared, I've thought about death many times. But then I thought, if I died, wouldn't all this money fall into the hands of Ethan's new wife? Sister-in-law, you live so well, why would you think such dark thoughts? My brother wouldn't treat you badly, don't worry. Sarah hurriedly reassured me. Back home, Mrs. Davis packed a simple bag. We were preparing to go to a nearby spa retreat for a break. On the way, I checked my phone. Mrs. Davis had secretly installed tiny cameras in every room of the house. What? Spent over $10,000 in one afternoon. My mother-in-law was livid, pacing back and forth. My God, even a mountain of gold wouldn't be enough for her to squander. Brother works so hard managing the company, and sister-in-law spends money without blinking. Sarah said angrily. How much money does one have to earn to support her spending like that? Ethan frowned. I've been managing the finances for years. I know Catherine's assets very well. At most, she has a few $100,000 in cash. How could she spend like that? That's right. I had always appeared frugal in front of Ethan. He didn't understand designer brands, nor did he know how expensive the things I usually bought were. Every time I quoted a price, I always dropped a zero before telling him. This was the first time I had shown him a glimpse of my true financial capacity. Sarah said, half jokingly, Brother, maybe sister-in-law is hiding money from you, has a secret stash. Ethan's face gradually darkened, his voice annoyed. Impossible. Catherine has always trusted me. From the time we started dating until now, I've known her family's situation like the back of my hand. My mother-in-law was unhappy. At first, we said marrying a city girl was to get all her family's wealth. Now what? You can't even control one woman. This money is our whole family's money. You have to guard it carefully. If sister-in-law really trusted you, why would she come back to the company? Sarah lowered her head and said softly, For so many years, you've been like a workhorse for her, bowing and scraping. And her? Has she ever treated you like a human being? Back home, men say one thing and it's done. They stand tall. But you, in front of sister-in-law, you don't even dare to fart. Shut up. Ethan slapped Sarah hard across the face, shouting angrily, Don't think I don't know what you're plotting. If I divorce Catherine Vu, you think I'll marry you? Sarah, even if you bore me a child, I would never marry you in this lifetime. Hearing this, my heart felt like it was being ripped apart. Mrs. Davis held me tightly, giving me an anchor. I was silent, watching the cars outside the window blur in the darkness, trying to regain my composure. At 20, when my father died, Ethan said he would be my lifelong support. At 24, I married him. He said he would love me for a lifetime. At 26, when Lily was born, he said, "Honey, I'll treat you and our daughter well for the rest of my life." At 38, because of $10,000, I saw his true colors. "Ethan, in your heart, I was always just a silly, pampered heiress. But you forgot. I was only 6 when I started learning from my father how to read people, listening to him talk about the deceitfulness of human hearts, the treacherousness of the business world. I was much smarter than you thought." Midnight, 12 o'clock. I saw on the surveillance monitor Sarah pushing open the master bedroom door. She wore the black dress I gave her, her hair neatly bunched, revealing her fair neck. Wearing silver high heels, her lips bright red, she crawled onto Ethan's bed, step by step. "Brother, let me serve you tonight. Only when you're with me are you a real man." She eagerly climbed onto the bed. Ethan struggled for a moment, then, very quickly, succumbed to his desires. I didn't know when tears had started streaming down my face. 18 years of marriage, severed in one night. Knowing Ethan was having an affair with Sarah, I had already formulated a plan. These two were united by profit and lust. I would make them two fish caught in a net, fighting over a single piece of bait until they tore each other apart. I wanted Sarah herself to reveal Lily's whereabouts. After sleeping with Ethan that night, new clothes and jewelry constantly appeared on Sarah. She dressed more and more extravagantly. "Sarah, you look beautiful," I praised, unable to hide my envy. "Look at your figure. If only I could be as young as you. No matter how much money you have, you can't buy back youth." Sarah replied shyly, "Sister-in-law, I'm seeing someone. He bought me all these things." "Humph, that boyfriend was probably Ethan." Once a man tastes forbidden fruit, it's hard to turn back. Like now, I had just gone downstairs for a walk with Mrs. Davis, and Sarah was already in the bathroom, seducing Ethan. I had to admit, Sarah had her methods. After they settled down, I returned home, holding a package. "Honey, what's that?" Ethan curiously tried to open it. I sat on the sofa, smiling. Genetic testing to screen for hereditary diseases is all the rage these days. I took everyone's toothbrushes and sent them for testing. If there's any illness, we'll know to prevent it early. Ethan's hand, holding the package, suddenly clenched, veins popping, his whole body stiffening. Sarah, who was mopping the floor, also looked up at the document folder, her eyes flashing with panic. My mother-in-law gripped the TV remote tightly, as if her soul had just been drained. "Huh, interesting. Very interesting. 3 people, each harboring a secret. Ethan was afraid I'd find out Leo was his son. Sarah was afraid Ethan would find out Leo wasn't his son. And my mother-in-law was afraid I'd discover that Sarah and Ethan weren't real siblings." "Honey, what's wrong?" I walked over, intending to take the file from his hand. "You look terrible. Not feeling well?" I snatched the file from his hand and opened it. The genetic test results were clearly displayed, including blood relationships. How could this be? I looked at the words in astonishment, then whirled around to face Ethan. "Ethan, how could you hide such a big thing from me?" I burst into tears, choking out, You. I feigned such distress that I couldn't speak. Ethan's lips trembled. He grabbed my hand, pleading, "Honey, let me explain. It was an accident. Really, it was unintentional. Leo is my son with Sarah, but it was only that one time. I was foolish. I beg you, forgive me." He was terrified, even kneeling before me. I knew he wasn't afraid of me, but of losing all the power and wealth he held. "You." Sarah suddenly screamed, utterly panicked. I pretended to be stunned, my voice full of shock. "Ethan, what are you talking about? This report clearly states you and Sarah have no blood relation, and you have no relation to Leo either. You and Sarah have." Ethan was stunned. He snatched the 2 result papers, looking them over several times. Blood rushed to his face. Like an uncontrolled animal, he suddenly leaped up, grabbed Sarah's hair, and slapped her twice, hard. "You bitch. You've been lying to me for years. So Leo isn't my son. You've ruined me." Ethan flew into a rage, beating Sarah. This was my husband, the man I had loved for so many years. When the mask fell, he was such a vile and cruel person. My mother-in-law wailed, "Oh heavens, it's all a curse. Sarah, how could you hide such a big thing from your brother? Raising someone else's child, letting the whole village laugh at us." Oh, it seemed even my mother-in-law didn't know Leo wasn't Ethan's son. She was good at keeping secrets. "Ethan, you're disgusting." I covered my face, crying, my voice filled with loathing. "Your whole family. You all make me sick." Hearing me, Ethan seemed to snap out of it. He fell to his knees, crying and begging, "Hit me. Beat me to death if you want. I swear I won't do it again. Please, for Lily's sake, forgive me. When she comes back, she can't be without her father. I cried louder. Lily, my daughter, where are you? Sarah, her face bruised, sat dazed on the floor, her mind blank. All her dreams, in that moment, shattered. But I wouldn't let her despair completely. If Lily can come back, I'm willing to sell all my assets to find her, I said through tears, dazed. Even the slightest clue, I'll pay for it. Any amount. It's been 4 years, and no one can find her. If $50,000 isn't enough, $100,000, $200,000, I'm willing to spend it. I told Ethan that for Lily's sake, I would forgive him this time. Ethan hugged me, sobbing, promising he would love me forever, never betray me again. I hugged him back, tears streaming. Was it Sarah who seduced you? I hate her so much. She ruined our family. Yes, it was Sarah who seduced me, Ethan said angrily. 4 years ago, when I was drunk at home, she climbed into my bed. Honey, I won't let her get away with this. If it weren't for her, I would never have done anything to wrong you. She also instigated me, made me accept Leo as my son. I heard what I wanted and let go of him. Now, just touching Ethan made me feel nauseous. In the following days, I hired private investigators to follow Sarah. No money, no education, kicked out of the house. She could only work as a waitress. From a multi-thousand square foot mansion to a cramped basement room of a few dozen square feet, and with a son in tow, how could she be content? Ethan was also cruel, sending people to cause trouble at Sarah's workplace, getting her fired. No matter where Sarah went, Ethan found a way to make her unemployed. Gradually, she didn't even have a place to sleep, forced to live with her son under an overpass. Even so, she refused to leave the city. I sat in the car, watching a few homeless men approach her. Get away, scram. Don't touch me. Sarah backed away in terror. Leo cried out in fear. I opened my umbrella and stepped out. My tall chauffeur stood behind me with a bat, scaring the men away. Sarah, is that really you? I feigned surprise. How did you end up like this? Sarah, as if grabbing a lifeline, lunged at me, clinging on. Sister-in-law? Save me. Please save me. I can't live like this anymore. You seduced my husband, and you expect me to help you? I pushed her away. I played her the recording of Ethan's words. Hear that? Ethan wants to kill you, to ruin you. He won't let you have a place in this city, wants you to get lost. After hearing the recording, Sarah burst into tears, collapsing to the ground, muttering, why is it me who seduced him? That year he came home for Christmas, he forced himself on me, said he liked me, said he only married you for money. Sarah, you're so foolish. I sneered, my voice full of sarcasm. So young and beautiful. You slept with Ethan for so long and got nothing out of it? If it were me, I'd have kept evidence to make him dare not leave. Such a dimwit. You might as well go back to the countryside. If those homeless men assault you, who's going to save you then? I threw her some cash and turned to leave. Sitting in the car, I saw Sarah under the bridge, her expression constantly changing. She called Ethan. From the surveillance system, I saw Ethan in the living room, shouting angrily, you bitch, still daring to threaten me with Lily's story? Who came up with that scheme back then? Damn it. If it weren't for you, how could my daughter be dead? I leaned back in my seat, my body feeling completely drained. Ugh. The immense pain made me constantly nauseous. No wonder Ethan hadn't been very diligent in searching for Lily all these years. It turned out, he already knew Lily was gone. $20,000? Do you think I'm a bank? Ethan paced the room angrily. At most, I'll give you $3,000. Take the money and get out of here, get out of my sight. Only after they had arranged a meeting place did I return home. Honey, I made your favorite soup. Ethan eagerly greeted me. Go change, then come eat. My mother-in-law had been sent back to the countryside by him. Now Ethan didn't dare offend me in the slightest. I sat down. Ethan hesitated, then spoke. Honey, the company's been having a tough time lately. Could you transfer me $30,000 for now? There's a batch of unsold inventory, and I also need to pay our partners. Okay, I'll transfer it tomorrow. I casually turned on the TV, which happened to be showing a crime drama. In it, a character with a crazed look screamed, damn it, just kill that bitch. Does she think I'm a money tree? First $1,000, then $2,000. Now she wants $10,000. Am I going to let her threaten me for the rest of my life? So, people can't let others have leverage over them. I mumbled while sipping my soup. I wonder if that guy ended up killing her. Ethan, sitting beside me, was also staring at the screen. I saw his unusually focused expression and couldn't help but sneer inwardly. He had never liked crime dramas, yet today he was watching so intently. Lily, rest assured, Mommy will definitely avenge you. No wonder Sarah dared to ask Ethan for $30,000, originally $300 million VND, adjusted for US context where 300 million VND is 12,000 US dollars. But 30,000 US dollars fits blackmail better. It turned out she had contacted her ex-boyfriend, Leo's biological father. His name was Ricky Lee, a lowlife who hung around nightclubs. He was the one who helped Sarah find a way to flee the country. They planned to extort Ethan for a hefty sum and then disappear. When I found out about this, I sat in contemplation for a while, then posted something on social media, visible only to Sarah. I posted photos flaunting expensive jewelry, along with a bank account balance. If only money could bring back my daughter. Not long after, Sarah called me. "Sister-in-law, give me $50,000, and I'll tell you where Lily is." Sarah's voice came from the other end. I feigned extreme emotion. "Really? Sarah, how do you know Lily's whereabouts? How can I trust you?" Immediately after, she sent me a few photos. Lily's hair clip, the clothes she wore the day she disappeared. That blue jacket, it was her favorite. That day, before we left, she had happily told me, "Mommy, I have to dress beautifully to see Daddy." But who would have thought Lily would die at the hands of her own father and his mistress? Monsters. They were all monsters. "Sister-in-law, do you believe me now?" Sarah continued, her voice firm. "You give me the money, I give you news about Lily. I swear, I won't trick you." After hanging up, I sobbed uncontrollably. For years of waiting, longing, pain, depression, I had wanted to jump from a high floor, to follow my daughter. But I couldn't die. I had to live. I had to witness those monsters face their retribution. Sarah was indeed foolish, but her boyfriend, Ricky Lee, was a street-smart hustler who knew how to play games. They demanded I bring $50,000 in cash to a border town, so they could flee the country immediately after getting the money. I drove day and night, following every instruction, finally arriving at a small, deserted village. Not long after being blindfolded in the car, I felt someone tie my hands and pull me out. After walking for about 20 minutes, they removed my blindfold, gagged me with tape, and locked me in a small room. Ethan was there, blindfolded and tied tightly to a chair. Ricky Lee was a tall man, blonde-dyed hair, covered in tattoos, not bad-looking. Sarah, wearing a lavish dress, walked up and slapped Ethan repeatedly. "It was you who initiated it, and you dare say I seduced you, Ethan? You're a coward." Sarah gritted her teeth. "That year, you were afraid Catherine would find out you slept with me. You made me keep quiet." Ethan cursed loudly. "You have the nerve to say that. Didn't you climb into my bed yourself? You despicable woman, hiding the birth of that child from me, leaving me no choice." Sarah laughed. "I didn't expect it either. You appeared so devoted to Catherine Vu, but a little temptation from me, and your true colors showed. I did give birth to the child, but the idea to kidnap Lily came from your mother." Hearing this, my whole body trembled. Ethan was silent for a moment, then said, "What's the point of bringing up old stories? Take the money and get lost. Why not bring it up? I'm doing it on purpose." Sarah glanced at me, a triumphant glint in her eyes. "The first time I saw Catherine Vu, she was like a star from television, proud, beautiful. I thought, when would I ever have a life like that? Until I had Leo, I knew my chance had come. Your mother always wanted a grandson. Even though she hated Catherine Vu, she couldn't bear to lose the Vu family's money. As long as she could destroy her, wouldn't all the Vu family's assets become the Hall family's? With Lily missing, and Leo adopted, eventually the Vu family name would change to Hall. And Catherine, with her weak health, once you had leverage over her, wouldn't she be at your mercy?" I looked at Ethan. His expression was chillingly calm. "The idea was your mother's, and you were tempted." Sarah laughed. "You called Lily, told her to find you in the countryside, told her not to tell her mother, wanting to create a surprise. Don't say any more. You bitch, shut up." Ethan roared like a wild animal. Sarah grew more agitated. "You even said, on the way, if she saw a scarecrow wearing a red shirt, she should get out of the car immediately. We were hiding in the cornfield, ready to grab Lily when she ran over. But we didn't expect her to be so vigilant, not even trusting her own father, struggling and demanding to find her mother. You were afraid she'd discover you, so you covered her mouth." My tears fell uncontrollably. "So, before we left, Lily had hugged me and whispered, 'Mommy, when I see Daddy later, I have a surprise for you.' She had been so sweet, so eager to see the father who would kill her. I had taught her to always be vigilant, not to go anywhere with strangers, to scream for help if she felt scared. Even if she didn't know exactly what was happening, her instincts made her struggle." "TSK, who would have thought you'd dare to cover her mouth and suffocate her?" Sarah cackled. "Your face then looked like you just swallowed a rotten frog." I closed my eyes, trying to swallow the overwhelming pain. Sarah continued, "The funniest thing is, you knew Catherine Vu couldn't have any more children, yet you deliberately played those games. Ethan, you're the biggest bastard. You wanted her to miscarry, to make her despair, to make her commit suicide, so you could be free, right?" My whole body went cold. I gradually calmed down. Ethan always talked about wanting more children. Starting over, it was all a lie. It was all a conspiracy. Sarah walked over and violently ripped the blindfold off Ethan. When he saw me sitting opposite him, his whole body trembled, his face contorting. "Ethan, monster! You're a monster!" I screamed, unable to hold back any longer. Ethan said miserably, "I've lived in fear every day since I slept with Sarah, terrified you'd find out. You don't understand that feeling, Catherine. 18 years together, eating, sleeping, everything according to your wishes. I lived in your house, worked in your company. Do you think I was happy? Men, truly men. Even leeches know how to complain. Ethan, you really are a special kind of capable. So, you killed your own daughter?" I looked at him, hating him so much I wanted to tear him apart. Ethan roared, "I didn't mean to kill her. I just wanted her to disappear for a while, to break your spirit, so I could control the company more easily. I knew if you found out I was cheating, you'd kick me out. I couldn't lose everything. That's why I came up with this plan." Who knew she'd resist so violently when she heard your voice? I had nothing more to say to this man. I remembered a line from a book. You never know how much malice those once close to you harbor behind your back. Whether the person sleeping beside you is human or animal, only at the end of the road can you see. This drama, it was truly something. Ricky Lee stood by, chewing gum, looking at his watch. "All right, enough drama. Time for action. Ricky, break his legs for me." Sarah pulled out a fruit knife, her voice venomous, and slashed Catherine Vu's face. Ethan, however, was very calm. "Ricky Lee, one more person. Take Catherine Vu abroad too. I'll pay an extra $20,000. "Okay, Mr. Hall, you're generous." Ricky Lee immediately moved to untie Ethan. Sarah was completely unprepared for this, frozen like a statue. I yanked at my ropes, grabbed a chair, and slammed it into Ricky Lee, shouting at Sarah, "What are you waiting for?" Sarah snapped back to reality and lunged at Ethan with the knife. Blood splattered. Her hand trembled, but she stabbed harder and harder. Ethan, being a man, struggled to his feet and slammed his head hard into Sarah's. He repeatedly bashed her head. The blood on him increased. I watched the two tear each other apart, only a cold, desolate sorrow remaining in my heart. Ricky Lee scrambled up, grumbling. "I said it was just an act, but you hit me for real." He pressed a cloth to my nose. I blacked out. As my body fell, I seemed to see Lily's sweet smiling face, calling, "Mommy." I knew something was wrong with Kate lately, so distracted, wouldn't say anything when I asked. Mrs. Davis cried as if her heart was breaking. It turns out she was going through something so terrible. She said she wanted to travel alone. I already had a bad feeling. Luckily, I was smart enough to install a GPS tracker on her phone. I lay in the hospital bed, my mind hazy, my head throbbing. "Kate, dear, that monster Ethan couldn't be saved. He's dead. Sarah is disabled." The police also arrested that old woman. She confessed everything. It was her whole family colluding to kill Lily. I closed my eyes, tears streaming down. From the beginning, I knew Sarah couldn't have done this alone, so I sought out Ricky Lee. I had collapsed to the ground, the pain in my abdomen so intense I nearly fainted. Unexpectedly, the cicada catches the mantis, and the oriole stalks from behind. Ricky Lee, all along, was my man. I paid him to stage a perfect play from beginning to end. If I had called the police immediately after receiving Sarah's call, Ethan and Sarah would have, at most, gone to prison. My Lily, she died so unjustly at the hands of her own father. How could I let those two live peacefully in prison? My family had an import-export company. Transferring money abroad was no trouble at all. Ricky Lee fled abroad. I had prepared everything for him. He had nothing to worry about. Was I afraid he would betray me? The safe house he was staying at abroad was a trump card my father had left me. Without my permission, he wouldn't dare return in this lifetime. Whether to live comfortably over there or risk everything against me, he knew very well which to choose. After being discharged from the hospital, I donated $5 million to a charity that helps unfortunate women and children with no one to turn to. If doing good deeds could bring rewards, I only wished Lily could be reborn into a good place in her next life. Having found Lily, or at least closure about her, Mrs. Davis and I went to the mountains, staying by what I imagined was her resting place for a long, long time. Only when it got dark did we leave. On the way down the mountain, I heard a child crying in the distance. Following the cries, I found an abandoned baby, still wrapped in swaddling clothes. Its face was purple, and it was missing an arm, clearly an abandoned child. I bent down and picked the baby up. Warmed by my embrace, it immediately stopped crying and opened its large eyes to look at me. I pressed my face against its tiny body, feeling a gentle breeze pass over me. Perhaps this was the good fruit I had sown. This would be my support for the rest of my life.